So, Jehan, you were formerly an advisor for classical art, and since 2016, you are more in another world. So, I would like to have your feeling about the auction of the Beeple work at Christie's.
Yeah, thanks, Judith. So I was an art advisor for about 8 years, and before that I was at Sotheby's. And since 2016, I've been the founder and managing partner of Kinetic, which is one of the earliest and most active blockchain firms, investment firms in Asia. We've invested in over 200 companies, and some of the world's largest blockchain companies are in our portfolio. Since then, I've been collecting NFTs, working with NFT artists, some of the largest ones, and really just helping to grow the ecosystem, as well as working with some institutions, traditional institutions, to help them understand the NFT space as well as the metaverse. The NFT auction of Beeple's Human One, I think, is nothing less than the most important artwork in the last 20 years. And the reason for that is because it really is the first work that puts together the physical and the digital art world spaces as a medium, but does it over time. I think artworks that have been produced previously, we're looking at digital practice, presenting on a physical object, and that's really the end of the artwork. But Beeple's Human One is actually an artwork that will be updated over the course of the lifetime as the artist continues to send updates of the background and aspects of the piece to the actual physical artwork via the blockchain. And so it becomes this kind of ongoing record of the experience of the artist, and he's committed to continuing to update that artwork throughout the course of his lifetime. In addition, the artwork will actually generate new artworks throughout the course of the artist's lifetime, and the collector will receive those as well. So the artwork becomes not only a piece, a discrete piece, but it's also a vessel and a channel between the artist and the collector over time. And I think this is a really interesting development and kind of innovation in art and digital art as a medium, and one which is only possible with blockchain and NFTs itself. And I think that Mike has really created a new practice here and a new way of thinking about art objects, which I think will ripple across the art world as more artists, including Urs Fischer, Tom Sachs, Damien Hirst, Takashi Murakami, and many, many others explore this new medium of NFTs.
But why would the artist work on this work which has been already sold instead of working on new works?
Because it's kind of irrelevant whether the work is sold or not. The work is the artist's practice, and he wants to continue, like the concept of the artwork is that it continues to grow, it continues to evolve, and it continues to be an expression of new thoughts and new experiences from the artist, regardless of who has it, regardless of who owns it. The artwork doesn't end. The artwork ends when Mike dies, and knock on wood, that doesn't happen anytime soon. But even this concept itself is something which, again, has not really been feasible with physical art or even digital art the way that it's traditionally been practiced. It's only really possible by taking the concept of blockchain and NFTs and applying this idea of continual work and continual evolution. And if you think about it, it's Mike's famous work, his Everyday series, is for the last 14 years, he's made a piece of artwork and posted it publicly. This is his practice. This is his 5,000, the first 5,000 days, the one that sold for 69 million. That's part of his practice. It's like a performance art in the tradition of Xie Ching or Marina Abramovich. And so
Marina Abramovich?
In a way.
Yeah, but I'm interested by that about you, that you know the two worlds. So if you think aesthetically about this work, what do you think? Not only conceptually.
I think it's beautiful. Even from a construction standpoint, it doesn't have the same finish as, say, like a Jeff Koons, for example, from a technical standpoint. But from a digital, like a physical, like a hardware standpoint, it's of the highest quality, but it also has the conceptual rigor of someone who's really trying to understand the hardware, the quote unquote software of the blockchain, and then put it all together. And there are very, very few artists in the world. I really don't think there's any other than Mike who are taking all these three elements and putting it and making work out of it.
But is he familiar with art history, for example?
He's really not actually. He didn't study art history. So there's an outsiderness, an otherness. There is in some ways a freshness where he comes to the world and he's learning about art himself. And so what's also interesting is that the audience gets to follow him and observe his education. He's committed to learning about art now that he's in this world. But it's also interesting to see how someone learns about art in this day and age, and to be able to have that window into that education process and that awareness building. And
so what's the next step?
More work. I mean, he has some pretty interesting things coming up that I can't really share, but I think that suffice to say, his next appearance, will probably be quite an interesting combination of the traditional art world and the digital and the NFT art world, as it's sometimes called.
Bon, merci beaucoup.